The katar's full power is as a support weapon. This is the Kitsune clan, a group of sword enthusiasts who like cosplay, reenactment, and historical martial arts. If you have similar interests, feel welcomed. This is video number 5 on the Indian Katar. Isn't this astonishing? And no end in sight so far. We've looked at different types of Katars and how to build training Katars and stuff like that. Today we want to look at how the Katar performs in combination with another weapon. But you've done so already. You have used it with a tulwar and a shamshir and a kanda as a left-hand weapon and then played around with it. That's not in fact what we want to look at. We have seen that the mechanics of the Katar are somewhat limited what it can do, but that it has some advantages that other weapons don't have. We have seen that the special handle makes it difficult to disarm the Katar, but you just saw that I figured out the one other way how to deal with that to a certain degree. And I think that this specific handle has more to it than just the protection against disarms. And you will get what I mean soonish. First, we combine the Katar with a dagger. So we take one hand where we hold the Katar and in addition we hold a dagger. Normal Katar handles are flat and allow that without any problems. With this, the resulting configuration reminds of the Katar with side blades. I link the other Katar videos in the description box. And I already mentioned it when we looked at the Katar with side blades that this thing is tricky to carry and that you could receive the same type of configuration with exactly what we do here, gripping both weapons at the same time. And as with the Katar with side blades, this works really nice for disarming because one of the two blades will catch the blade of the opponent and the other one will push against it, disarming it. It works astonishingly easy, although our training Katars have a bit too bulky handles, so I thought gripping two weapons would be more challenging. It's not. Now let's make the dagger longer. In this case, take a sword, here a kanda, and let's do the same thing, basically. As you can see, the Katar hand is here in half-sword. And man, this makes a difference. Because here, the handle really pays off. Usually in half-sword, the left hand is rather vulnerable. With the Katar, it's basically fully protected, and the 90 degrees protruding blade can catch the blade of the opponent and nicely disarm. If we look at many kanda type swords, which have a kind of a Fehlschärfe, so a not sharpened part on the backside of the blade, which screams grip me here, it would really make sense that the Katar is exactly designed for this type of use. I've complained before that the bars of the Katar are too short because the blade of the opponent could slide down. Here, it's long enough so the blade of the opponent can slide against the blade of my sword. So that would absolutely make sense. So if you like half-sword, try it at least once with a Katar. It changes the thing and makes it even better. Also, if you like the normal sword hold, you can do basically the same thing. Take a Katar in the left hand and grip your two-handed sword. I had no Indian two-handed sword available, so I used a Japanese one here. You retain a lot of the advantage of a two-handed use. It's not perfect, especially with our training Katars having a bit thicker handles, but you gain so much option when you throw forward your handle. There's now a blade sticking out in 90 degrees. Man, that is cool. If you have not yet seen our video on Wolverine claws, I'll link it in the description box. They basically allow the same thing. They also stand out in 90 degrees and can be used just as we shown it here. In free play, I have to say I prefer the half sword idea a lot. And it shows that it's very easy to go in with this configuration and if necessary separate the two weapons again. Now imagine you have to train a whole army for war. Half-sword has the advantage that for a not so well trained person, the danger of cutting the colleagues right and left to the person is smaller when holding the sword in half-sword. That means for moving in formations, half-sword has a lot of advantages if you have soldiers with swords. But then the left hand is more vulnerable. A shield could solve this situation, but with the Katar, it is possible to attack if you don't forget it, as you could just see. Meaning you can make a rather aggressive formation work if everyone is equipped with a longer sword and a Katar and the sword is held in half-sword. But could we, if we talk about formations, not easier go with spears instead of swords? Yes and no. We will have a look at the spear in a moment. The sword is easier to carry and readily available, and in fact it's easier to grip with the Katar. So in my view, the popularity of the Katar could be explained by the fact that it transforms a good weapon, namely a sword, into a formidable weapon that can do a lot more than without the Katar. Here you see the same advantages also account for the spear. The usually so vulnerable front hand is well protected, and with the blade sticking out 90 degrees, we can trap the spear of the opponent. We can usually do that closer to the tip where we have the little T-bar like thing, but here we can now have it further down and use the tip for attacking. And as you just saw, if we come too close, you can simply let go and stab with the Katar. So also here, really advantageous, but the spear has a larger diameter than the sword blade, and so it's less easy to hold with the Katar in hand. So although I just said it's better with a sword, it perfectly works with a spear, and basically any other weapon you can think of in your Indian arsenal. As a side note, watch our video on the crossblock if you haven't, linked in the description box, where we show that with most weapons crossblocks have mechanical problems. The Katar is the perfect weapon for it. And I think this role as a support weapon can explain why the Katar is so common. It works as a standalone, but it improves any other weapon significantly. Although that sounds like a final verdict, there will be more Katar videos coming up. Stay tuned. Hope we could inspire you. See you around next time.